you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and if this is your first project and what is it about?
Perfect. So yes, my name's Matthew Turner. So I am English, but I now live in Brisbane, Australia. I first started writing book one, A Reign of Emerald Fire, snap, about, probably about 10, 12 years ago. It was a slow process.
Yeah.
Came to it stop start. I wasn't working the whole time on it because it was a little side project just to see if I could write a book. Didn't I because I left school without any qualifications. I was a terrible student. Uh, English was probably my worst subject. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just how the school systems work. We just don't gel with it. I don't know.
Yes.
Um, but so I challenged myself, thinking that I would never complete it because I start a million things and then
Wow.
drop out very quickly. But I finally did finish A Reign of Emerald Fire, and then once that was done, I had to start work on book two, A Path Fraught with Ruin. That was a lot quicker. That was a nice, I think that was about 3 or 4 years to write. It was broken up between having kids and changing jobs and COVID and all these other things. So that pushed it back.
Yeah.
So I probably only spent about 2 years working on that one. I'm starting on halfway through writing book three. So slowly getting there.
Are you planning a trilogy or more?
The idea for the series is for it to be open-ended. So the plot lines that's kind of going with books one and two will step away from briefly
Okay.
in book three.
Ah,
Book three is actually going to be a lot shorter. Book three is looking to be only about maybe 50, 60,000 words. Because it's
okay.
basically where these are book one's into a multi POV. Book three, sorry, will be just one perspective. It's
Okay.
just kind of focusing on one character who features in book two. And then we'll come back to this plot thread from the first two books in book four, which will
Okay.
wrap that up. And then moving forwards, it will be probably more sort of each book will be basically from different character. We'll be focusing on different groups of characters or single characters, depending
I
on.
like,
There'll be things that are mentioned in, say, books one and two that might
yeah.
pop up as something in book five or book six. Book three, for example, there's little things that I'm popping in there that will actually be relevant for what I think is planned for book five. I think it's book five or book six. So it all kind of ties together. And moving forward, I mean, obviously, book one and two are tied together. Book
Yeah.
four will be concluding that. But with book three and then the rest of the books moving forward, you don't necessarily have to have read the others to you can pick them up and kind of go, okay, this is a single book, but it's also tied into this world. So yeah, but it's a bit of an unusual starting point to have these two books and then the fourth book kind of all joined together. But it was purely because I had originally this these two plus book four were all meant to be one book.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
didn't quite happen. Didn't quite happen purely because they're silly. They're comedic as much as there's quite
That's
dark
satire.
elements that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought doing a big 1,000 word tome wouldn't fit with that kind of setting. I just thought there would be too much of a book to keep it light-hearted. So I thought
Ah,
I'd
okay.
break it up. Originally, I thought I'd break it up within two books, and then now that's breaking up into three. And I thought, well, if I want to introduce this aspect of the series where it's going to be new characters coming in, different stories, I thought I need to insert that somewhere between. So I thought with book three, we'll step away, introduce that kind of theme of new characters, new setting, and then come back to it before completing it. Not to say, oh, it's so very unique, like but it's comedic
Yes.
adventure. So it's kind of comedic adventure fantasy. Sort of, it's got elements of the classic older style of adventure
Yeah.
fantasy, but then between that is elements of kind of more modern, gritty, grim, darky
Yeah.
fantasy as well. So it's kind of an unusual. I like to look at it as a mix between kind of Discworld and the
Yes.
first Law trilogy. That kind of that's kind of what I was going for. So it's a bit specialist in that regards. There's a few other kind of series out there that have a similar vibe, but that's kind of where I've gone to, that kind of
Oh yeah, but yours is
satirical.
unique. Yeah,
Oh, thank
you
you.
have your you know that I love one specific character is one. I say one main character, but you have more than one main character. Tell me
Yes.
about your cast and Brolo.
Yes. So the main cast of this book, you've got Stanley Yokalor, who is a grizzled ex. He was the commander of the King's First, which was basically the King's personal guard, which, due to an unfortunate tragedy, which I won't spoil, just in case
Yes.
anyone picks up the book, has fallen on hard times and is now exiled to the fringes of the kingdom, to a small town called Petlishaw, running the town watch. And he is a recovering alcoholic. He does, because of the experience of the past, he does have PTSD, or what we would, know as PTSD. And he's inspired a lot by a character. Do you know, have you ever seen Blackadder, the British comedy series?
Oh yeah.
He's inspired by quite a few characters, but in part by Blackadder, in terms of he's a very smart,
Oh yeah.
he's a very normal person in a very absurd world. It's like the world around him purely exists to just ruin his day and
Yeah.
just annoy him from sun up to sundown. Everything exists to just be
For
tedious
those
and
who don't know or are too young to remember the show, Blackadder is like the main character is Mr. Bean, but not as Mr. Bean, but in medieval times. So you,
I enjoy writing his. Stan Wright was the first character that I sort of came
yes.
up with, and then after that was his foil, Brolo.
Uh-huh.
Um, Brolo is a half dwarf, half elf. Never knew his father. His father left before he was born and was raised by his mother, who then has, before the series starts, passed away, and
Hmm.
has found himself wasting away in Peplishaw in
Yeah.
as a member of the Watch, and wants to see bigger and better things, wants to go explore the world, but is also very cynical. And because of he's been bullied, and because of his half dwarf, half
Yeah.
elf status, he doesn't fit in anywhere. So he does face racism,
Hmm.
and so he's jaded about the world. He's only a young, he's only, I think, about 16, 15, 16. So he's young,
Hmm.
he's jaded, likes the ale, likes to go to the tavern
Yeah.
and have an ale, and spends his time basically making Stanwell's life an absolute
Yes.
nightmare. And with Brolo, with his relationship with Stanwell, you then got with Brolo, his foil being Wilhelm Cormorant, who for me is actually, he seems as if like he's one of the minor characters of the main group. But particularly with book two, I've enjoyed writing his chapters because I've always had big plans for him long term.
Oh, okay.
Snob, he's very much inspired by Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf, if you've ever seen that, in terms of he's from a posh background. He's the son of
Yeah.
a dux, which is basically the kingdom's dukedom, but he's the fourth son. So no one cares about the fourth
Yeah.
son. The Duke has got his heir, his spare, a third backup, and then this fourth
Yeah.
son who's basically a drain on resources and is costly and doesn't have any aptitude for warfare or any of the noble pursuits that might be expected of him. So he's been shoved off to Peplishaw as well, again, to be in the
Hmm.
watch.
I watch.
The main three from Peplishaw, as well as then young Smiggy Jenkins as well, who's a very sweet, very naive boy whose mother has coddled him from a very young age, and he does exist a purely so I can write very stupid lines. He's there to just be a bit of an imbecile.
Yeah.
To use Blackadder as a reference again, he's kind of my Baldric. He gets to, but he's a very sweet boy as well. He's probably the most kindly of the main characters and has a very sweet nature about him. But he does find himself getting into all sorts of trouble, and it does seem to be a bit of a magnet for chaos, but
Yes.
chaos that he's oblivious to. Probably again one of the most enjoyable characters to write is Yolonia. First, I struggled with on how to approach the character because I knew, especially once I decided I was going to split the books up, I didn't know if she was going to have enough focus in A Reign of
Oh,
Emerald Fire, um, which I think I kind of balanced it out in the end to make sure that she was given enough focus
yeah.
because she is probably so one of the key focuses of the book is found family. That's probably the key trope, I suppose, is the chaotic found family.
Yeah.
And she's kind of the one that kind of binds it all together.
Yeah.
She's the outsider
She
from
makes
the
them all
original
work.
group. Like Stanwild in terms of she's sensible and smart, but again finds all this idiocy going on around her, and she she is also the
Yeah.
daughter of them who has found herself fleeing home, going into specific detail, and then finds herself in a bit of a predicament up north, uh, which is the opening path to A Reign of Emerald Fire, and brought in the web of Ralfried, the High Keeper, who is kind of the arch villain of
Yeah.
the series.
So if there's magic in your world, how is your magic system and which character is more focused on?
So magic's an interesting one for me. There's magic does exist. There is magic in the world, but it has been banned. So magic is currently outlawed due to the circumstances which lead to Stanwilt's banishment. The king has decreed that there is magic shall not be practiced. So all the wizards and witches that existed are no longer able to ply their trade. Because of this, there are limited touches of magic throughout the book. And what my intention is long term is for there's a bigger focus on enchanted items
Hmm.
um, than specific magic wielders. They do pop up, and there's one who does creep up in book 2 in particular, who's a bit of a mysterious character who's also a bit of a rip-off of a popular sci-fi character that I enjoyed writing his little parts for. Again, I won't spoil specifically who because I hope readers will pick that up.
Yeah.
But the origin of magic and the lore behind magic
Hmm.
is a big mystery that gets explored more deeply in book 2, and which will also come out further in book 4 when
Oh,
that series kind of is wrapped up. So there's a big kind of mystery behind the origin and how the magic system works, which kind of gets revealed slowly.
so we have the characters go on a quest
Yes,
without
yes,
spoilers, and what makes it very fun is that these characters, the one that is in charge, is going to decide that I'm going to recover my reputation by slaying this dragon.
yes,
So here they go.
yes, yes. And I, the original idea for the quest to have to go and slay this dragon was always intended to be a kind of sets the books up as, oh, we're going on an adventure. This is
Yeah.
the thing. It's very old-fashioned fantasy. We're going on the quest to slay this dragon, but then it's kind of like a red herring because then side swerve, there's all this political stuff going on in the
Yeah.
background and all this other emotional stuff going in each of the main characters' personal lives, and so it's kind of like it's kind of like obviously it's an important aspect of the story,
Yeah.
but it's kind of it was always there as a setup as a lulls you into a false sense of security of, oh, we're just
Yeah.
jolly adventure, go to slay the dragon. And there was also the aspect that I wanted to put in there as well as to why specifically do we have to go and kill this dragon? So I made it that the religions that are in this world, one of them in particularly the Dragona, are tied up with the crown. So they are officially the state religion, although they've fallen out of favor, but they're still very much tied up into the kingdom and the crown, who is the monarch. So it's a bit of a pickle. You can't just go and kill the dragon because they're a
Yeah.
revered holy creature. So it's a bit of a side quest that's all meant to be very hush hush, but the reasons behind it are all very much being organised, shall we say, in the background by a nefarious character.
But each character, there's a list of things that we can associate with them, and it speaks to us.
I mean, I one of the things I also wanted to do with the series is these very real world experiences
Yeah.
between the silliness. Like it was very kind of hard to blend them because I didn't want it to be just a case of everyone's jolly going on their
Yeah.
adventure, going to slay the dragon, go to A to B. Um, I wanted there to be something that tied as much as they're all very different characters in terms of they hate each other, or most of them
Yes.
don't get on. Um, but they all have the thing that brings them together is they're all broken in some way. Even Smigley, as much as he's probably the least aware of it, the fact that he's been so mollycoddled his whole life,
Yeah.
and there's little hints about the fact that his father wasn't the best of fathers in the world,
Yeah.
um, that that has impacted him too. As much as he's probably not he's not aware of it. That all the main characters are united by the fact that they are in some way traumatized by their past
Yeah.
or by things that others have done to
And
them.
we can feel it. We can feel it when
Counts, which is probably the most, again, particularly with book two, purely because it was easy to just write him as a snob who doesn't, anyone who's not as rich as him to be disparaging of and
yeah.
to cast him. But I wanted there to actually be something behind that. I wanted there to be a reason to be that much of a, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, B word, let's just say B word. That's beyond just being, oh, he's a rich boy. I
Yeah.
wanted there to be an emotional,
They're all like outcasts, so they are
yeah,
outcasts together, and they grow together, and they become very strong. And I couldn't put this one down because
oh, thank you.
this part this part was like, I cannot go to sleep now. So
Oh, good.
I'm
And I had
glad there's more.
to write in the mornings. I used to start my job at 10 a.m. in the morning. So I would drop my kids off at school, daycare, and what have you, and I'd get to work and have about an hour and a half to write in the mornings. And unfortunately, with the ending for the last third of A Path Fraught with Ruin, I decided to write it down in a notepad, pen and paper, because I thought it would save me time when
Oh,
I had my start time to sort of just be like, okay, I've got an hour, let's write it down in pen and paper, get it done, so I don't have to get my laptop out, plug it in, connect to the Wi-Fi, all that stuff. I made the mistake, or I didn't consider the fact that I then had to type it up,
yes.
which was a big chunk of time later on. But that was probably the most enjoyable part of the book to write. Just knowing what was going to happen, knowing what these characters kind of, the emotions that these characters kind of have to
Yeah.
go through and the tests that they face. I very much enjoy, and it was also nice for me because particularly the major scene at the end, it's a lot of shorter kind of chapters, which was kind of different for me because they're normally quite longer, sort of
Yeah.
4,000 word ish, long bit of it. So kind of just going, 800 words
Yes.
here, 900 words there. It was
Oh,
kind of a nice kind of chop and change, getting a bit more into the swing of things. Much enjoyed writing the ending for book two, and
we can
I'm
feel
kind
it.
of
We can feel that you have a lot of fun with the dialogue and with the action.
the chapters when there's more dialogue between the groups of the characters. I enjoy it when they kind of break apart. There's a bit in book two when they kind of separate when they've come to
Yeah,
the Circle City and they kind of break up into their little groups, and there's a different interactions between
yeah,
characters. There's not always as
yeah.
much
That was clever. Yeah.
interaction between. So I enjoyed that because I don't want it, one of the hard things I have to balance, and I will definitely have to focus on for book four, is to not let the banter and the dialogue between the characters and their
Yeah,
experiences go stale. You know, I
yeah.
keep there needs to be some changes there, and obviously after the events of book two, there's going to be
We're gonna take a
attention for
moment to
the
break, to breathe,
yeah
because we're gonna focus on one POV, right? Can you
yes, yeah,
tell
we got
us
that one
who,
booked.
or it's a secret?
Yes, I can. So book three, that will be focusing on Montegriano, who
Ah,
is the sailor who ferries the what is it? It's Stanwilt and Wilhelm across
yeah.
the font, which is this large, for the people who haven't read the books yet, there's a city called the Circle City, which is this large city which is built around the rim of what was an asteroid crater. I mean, the characters don't know it's an asteroid crater, but that is basically what it's formed. So it's this large city which is filmed around this asteroid crater, and this is now filled with water, which is this great lake called the Font. And within the center of this font is this large building called the Citadel of Perpetuity, which is
Ooh.
um, the the main building for the Circle faith, which is one of the other religion, the other main religion in the world. And yes, they need to get across the font, and they employ this very grandiose Montebriano who likes to believe himself a very grand adventurer of the seven
Yes.
seas, or seven seas, but of the seas. But he's actually just trying to use his rickety little boat to get across the font. So I've taken him, and there's a little mention of what his plans are within book two. He's once he's dropped off the characters, he mentions
Hmm.
what he's off to go and do, and so that follows him on from there. And as a little hint of
Cool.
what the story involves, it's very heavily influenced by the poem "The Rime of the Ancient Mariner." I don't know if you know
Oh,
that,
wow, yes.
um, but I've taken that poem, that story, and adapting it loosely into Montegriano's next adventure. So we're going to
Oh,
focus
I'm
on him
excited already.
for there for book three, and then we're going to come back to everyone else in
And
book
then we
four.
come back.
Of inspiration from different things, and have used that to come up with, so culturally in terms of there's cuisine, there's quite a lot of food in the books, and there's a lot of I've taken a lot of inspiration from mostly kind of like Eastern European kind of cookery,
Oh,
and then
cool.
have
Yeah.
adapted that to come up with some dishes that are mentioned or used in the book. So they're kind of, some of them are my own creations that are in there. And then there's a very terrible chef or very terrible cook called Mistress Roslyn, who is the watch house cook, who is an ex-witch who, because of the ban on magic, has
Yeah.
found herself in the employment of the watch, but she's a terrible,
Yeah.
terrible cook. So I've had fun creating
Yeah,
some
that
of her
one.
recipes, because they tend to be just as disgusting as possible.
Yes.
Um,
I was
and
hoping you mentioned her.
she's a very fun character as well, and
Yeah.
she will actually have a bigger role to play in book
Oh,
four,
cool. Yes.
because of how the ending to book two kind of plays out with what's going
Okay.
on in Pepley Shore. She'll be focused a bit more, so she'll be doing a bit more than cooking, uh, because she's trying to every got to try and keep everyone alive, so she can't cook for
Yes.
everyone. One of my big ideas for one of my future books as well is we'll be exploring the kingdom in a lot more detail, and all the unique little uh, all the little towns that have their own little customs and their own
Ah, okay.
little traditions.
Yeah.
I've taken inspiration from a couple of other sort of series and books and some real life events to
You already
flavor a bit
have
more.
an experience because there's a lot of tavern scenes, and I do love when
Yeah,
they make a stop and they just enjoy their time there, and chaos is
yeah.
here.
I do have fun coming up with places and giving towns and cities and villages their own little unique flair. In terms of, I think the way the magic system will, how that will get resolved and how that kind of will be explored, and then how magic will be used or how magic will exist
Yeah.
once it's resolved will be kind of no, I don't know if I can say unique to fantasy, but it will be unusual.
Are you or do you identify yourself with any of the characters, with one specific or?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say because they've all got little bits of me, and some of them I
Yeah.
flipped, reversed the kind of aspects of the characters. I mean, Stan Wilt at heart with his grumpiness. I mean, I feel that deep down sometimes. I feel the grumpiness deep down. Some of Brolo's experience in terms of
Mm.
not knowing his father.
Oh.
I have I've adapted that from my own experience where I never really knew my mother. My mother died when I was only one, so I
Oh,
never really knew my mother.
sorry.
So that's kind of where that it's a very long time ago, so it's kind
Yeah.
of over. It's what it is. But I kind of adapted that for
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Brolo's experience and kind of flipped it around. Obviously, Brolo's then got other experiences
Yeah.
which are drawn from obviously with his being half dwarf, half elf. And yeah, Eulonia to a lot of extents as well, particularly in terms of her fleeing home. In terms of, I didn't flee home, but I moved to the other side of the world. So I'm the only one
Yes.
in my family over here in Australia. All my
Oh,
family are back home in England. I'm the only one
oh,
over here. So I kind of left one world behind to come to another. So they've all got little bits of me.
yeah. I
Smig
like that.
me because I can be very daft and I can be very oblivious, as my wife will tell you. I can be very oblivious to everything going on around me. So yeah, they've all got little aspects.
Can you give me some advice for those who are starting to write?
Advice for new authors. I mean, it's hard to say because I mean everyone approaches things. I would say one of the things I learned, particularly when coming into book two, is to make sure you structure your right. Like I found it personally beneficial to plan ahead. Book one, I went into it blind. I kind of came up with a very
Ah,
basic kind of plot frame, and then basically wrote a chapter, then got to the next chapter and went, oh, what happens here? Well, they go here, and then this happens, and then da 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 da. And that's part of why it took so long. When it came to book two, before I started writing, I wrote down the entire each chapter individually. This is going to happen here. This is going to happen here. Broke it all down, and I then started keeping meticulous records of lore, timeline, characters. So I became a plotter, and I found that very beneficial. So anyone who's particularly doing fantasy where you've got to come up with a lot of your own world, I would definitely
yeah.
recommend and just have fun with it as well. It's not meant to be a
Yeah.
chore. I mean, as much as everyone's dream is to make it big and have their books out in the world and become the next big thing, it's a hobby. I wrote book particularly with book one. I wrote it to have fun and to set
Yeah.
myself a challenge. And if no one else ever reads it, that's
Uh,
okay. I did it for
I
me.
like that
I enjoy
attitude,
that
but
other
I love
people
it.
yeah, I enjoy that other people seem to be enjoying it, but I'm thankful for everyone who has read it, and I'm thankful for anyone who does. But if they just, it's fun for me. It's a hobby,
Oh, yeah.
and it's a passion. Like I wouldn't want to ever make it a chore. Um,
Oh,
I wouldn't
yeah.
want, I wouldn't, if in some kind of magical world. they suddenly started selling millions of copies, and then writing the next book became a burden.
Oh no.
It would have lost its pack. It would lose its enjoyment, and it's no longer what I wanted it to do. So I'd rather stay obscure and enjoy myself than
I relate to you a
become a
lot.
villain.
It's the same for me. Is that available on Amazon?
So Amazon is generally I find is the easiest place for people to
Hmm.
buy the books. They're available online through various other retailers as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
I do intend to eventually have my own little web store set up so I can sell copies myself personally. But the issue I find with that is being all the way in Australia.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to send books. You for inviting me to this conversation. I really
Thank you
enjoyed it.
too.
Thank you to anyone who's picked up a copy or who's read it or read an ebook, or it is available on Kindle Unlimited. So if anyone's ever read it on there, thank you. I appreciate everyone who's ever given me feedback and who's taken the time to read the work. It really does mean a lot to someone who grew up with books not being a major thing in my childhood. I didn't come to reading until my sort of late teens, early 20s. So writing a book was never on my radar. And the fact that
Congratulations.
people, thank you, and the fact that people have read them and have told me they're not completely trash, has been
Yeah.
very rewarding. So I appreciate everyone's very kind words.
So thank you so much and have a great Saturday.